I have a confession, and I might sound a little bit snobbish here. So tell me if I am completely off base, or tell me if you can relate to this sentiment. But I am disposed to watch desensitization. And let me explain what that means. I think as a content creator, I'm more disposed to it. But anybody that has a borderline obsessive personality to where you almost fixate on a particular hobby for a period of time, you might be disposed to this as well. But I see so many watches come across my desk in the course of 1 year. I try to post one video every 2 days, every day if we're counting shorts. And so I'm creating a lot of watch content. I'm consuming a lot of watch content. I am wearing a lot of beautiful watches. And because I'm seeing so many come and go, I don't know, they don't seem as special. And so I can become a little bit desensitized to these lovely mechanical marvels of art that we appreciate, that we wear, that tell us the time to some degree of accuracy, all mechanically. So these really are excellent, really excellent trinkets, I guess you could say, or jewelry that has a purpose outside of being beautiful. And sometimes I don't appreciate it to the degree that I should because of my own watch desensitization. And then we pair in my watch snobbery to where I look at my normal rotation, and I do like to mix it up. Some days I wear a moon swatch, some days I wear a Tissot or a Seiko, and other days I wear an annual calendar from Rolex, or I'm wearing Breitling or Grand Seiko, or a number of awesome brands that really, I hope this doesn't sound snobbish, but in times past, I had this impression in my mind that if I could just get that one watch, I would be happy. I could leave the hobby. I would be done. It would be amazing just to have one luxury watch. And then I look at my collection now, and every day it seems like I'm wearing a Grail level watch. And so I'm very excited and appreciative of that. But because of that, it takes a particularly compelling design or execution, something unique and different to really crack into my own personal taste, to where I want to take wrist time away from that Sky Dweller or my Hulk or the Black Bay Chrono or whatever the watch may be, and give that extended wrist time to a newcomer. It has to be a great watch. And so tell me if you relate to this. Do you ever get watch desensitization? Do you ever get watch burnout? Do you ever feel like there is no end to the love and the obsession? Or if I'm maybe just a little bit extra, you can tell me your honest opinion. I won't get upset or offended. But I go through that long-winded kind of topic there, or intro, because it helps me bring perspective to this French micro brand that I have in front of the camera. This is the Baltic MR01 salmon dial that will retail for 545 euros. Now, how does this relate? Well, it's a unique piece, and because of its uniqueness and because of the value that is represented here, this is easily taking wrist time away from other watches in my rotation, like, the PRX Chrono or the Cartier or Tudor or Rolex or whatnot. And I'm okay with that. And maybe that does sound snobbish, but this has strength to the design. This is particularly compelling, in my opinion, to where other micro brands right around $600 don't have that same impact that I'm getting with this MR01 salmon dial. So let me explain the watch. We'll go through the details. We will review this, and I'll try to keep my own bias away, but I do like this personally. And also, in full disclosure, Baltic did gift me this watch in exchange for the presentation. So I'm going to be giving it away, even though I really, really like it. And I have been wearing it recently. We are going to give this away to a member of the Patreon group in the month of December. So that out of the way, let's talk about the details here. Let's talk about the strengths and the weaknesses, and I'm not going to hold back. The watch measures in at 36 millimeters in diameter. 36.3 is what I get exactly with my digital calipers. And that's unique because what sells in this market is between 40 millimeters and 42 millimeters. That is the sweet spot. I know a lot of people say, I want smaller, I want sub 39 millimeters, but not a lot of us back up that talk often with our wallets. But I like the fact that Baltic is a little bit gutsy in the fact that they're going to produce a beautiful watch, and they're going to they're going to do it in 36 millimeters, to where most people would say, hey, I want 39, I want 38, I want 40, I want 41. No, they're doing 36, and that is in keeping with the design language here. This is vintage inspired, and 36 millimeters was considered a large watch at one period of time for a gentleman. That period of time, though, was decades and decades into the past. So I like the smaller size. And I will say it does not feel too diminutive. It does not look too small. It looks proportional, and it is comfortable. And my wrists are 7.25 inches in circumference. Now, the other thing that makes this unique is your movement. So let's turn it over and take a look at the micro-rotor movement or caliber within this 36 millimeter case. And this is really where a lot of the value is represented here in this model. So it is a Chinese produced movement called the Hangzhou 5000A caliber, and it will be adjusted in 5 separate positions. We can see a spiral finished gold tone micro-rotor that has the Baltic signature. And really, we don't see micro-rotor movements that often. It's something that you generally find on watches at the luxury price segment or the high horology price segment. You generally don't find them sub $600. And then if you consider just the affordable segment, you really don't see finishing like this too often. So very pleasant purling, nice concentric striping. We have blued screws that look good, 30 jewels in the caliber, a 4 hertz frequency, and 42 hours of power reserve. Now, this movement fills the back of the case to such a degree that Baltic needs to take the text that's normally found on the case back, even on a display case back. They need to take the text off and place it somewhere else, if it's even placed on the watch at all. And I think that's really cool. You'll see no text on this steel case back that is screw on to this 36 millimeter case. And they take that descriptionary text and they place it in between the lugs on one side of the case. Very cool, very unique. I kind of like that little detail. Now here, let's delve into the movement a little bit deeper here. How does this compare to, say, a 3/4 rotor from Glashutte original? Well, there obviously will be some differences. But if you're just taking a cursory look at the watches, at the movements from, say, arm's length, they don't look all that different, really, when it comes to the color play, the light play, how they sit within the case. They don't look too different. In fact, if you were just to look from afar and say, hey, which one is the $600 movement and which one is the $10,000 movement, I think you could probably pick, but it wouldn't be quick and easy. And if you asked a non-watch enthusiast, they might be flipping a coin. So there really is a sense of value and beauty here when you're looking from arm's length. When you go in and take a look at the details on the macro level, you take out the loop, that's where you obviously notice some of those differences. They become very apparent. And I'm okay with that because, again, this watch will retail for 545 euros. So I can forgive some of the kind of rough finishing in areas or the unfinished areas, as you can say. But for the most part, the purling is very clean. I think the spiral finishing on the micro-rotor looks exceptional. It's just little things here and there, like the lack of anglage, or the fact that your text found in the spiral finishing on your plates, how they're curved, but they're not very defined. And the curvature doesn't exactly match the curvature of the striping. And so some areas of the text are closer to ridges than they are to the other ridge. And you can see just a little bit of misalignment that you would never notice on a movement that costs $10,000 or $20,000. But again, that's forgivable because, the retail price of this is so low. So I would say some will criticize the use of a Chinese-made movement. But I have to say, how else are you going to get this level of finishing and 5 positions of regulation in a design, again, at this price? You can't do it any other way. ETA doesn't make anything, and even if they did, you couldn't get one for anywhere close to $500. Now, I feel kind of bad because we're over 10 minutes long, and we're just now getting to the dial. But let's talk about this dial. We have a very defined granular texture here in the salmon color, which is my personal favorite color out of the 3 that are being offered: silver, salmon, and blue. And we also have a brushed outer railroad track with concentric patterning on the subsidiary seconds. This sub-seconds is offset, and it completely replaces the 7 and 8 positions on the dial. And talking about those hour markers, they are stylized, they are polished, they are applied, and they are very pleasant. I think just the right size for this dial. They pair nicely with the polished beveled leaf style hands here, the hour hand, the minute hand. And overall, this just feels proportional and clean and attractive. And you can see all of the details under a box-shaped Hesselite crystal, so not mineral, not sapphire, no anti-reflective treatment, just a nice Hesselite crystal that you will need to polish from time to time as you accumulate hairline wear marks, as you wear this piece day to day. Now let's go through some of the other details as we wrap up here. We have quick release spring bars on both the leather strap and the grains of rice bracelet. And being a bracelet fan myself, I like this most on the bracelet. And I am always partial to a good grains of rice design. This bracelet has solid end links. It has split pin connectors connecting the grains of rice together, and we do have a milled clasp. Notice in the clasp there is 6 different micro adjustment positions or holes, and I think this looks best on the bracelet. Even though it does look good, it does look traditional on the leather. Now, I think we've covered just about everything. We've talked about the movement, we've talked about the dial, we've talked about the bracelet, the case size. I don't think there's really anything else to cover here outside of the fact that I think this is a unique piece in the market. It does represent very serious value considering what you're getting sub $600, even with a Chinese-made movement. Really, again, how else are you going to get all that you're getting at this price segment? You wouldn't otherwise, and so I have no problem with that. I recognize it's a $600 watch, but it's strong enough and unique enough to take wrist time away from luxury priced watches in a watch rotation. And this one, I'm going to be a little bit sad to see go when we give it away to a member of the Patreon group. So that aside, there will be links in the description to not only the Patreon if you're interested in joining, but to Baltic's website to where you can pre-order this. There's going to be some information about the pre-order, when different batches are shipping in different months. So all of that is in the description. Thank you for watching today. Reach out with any questions you may have. I look forward to reading the comment section. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.